Welcome to the Natural History Cupboard. Come on in.
And welcome back to the best natural history podcast in the world, the Natural History Cupboard podcast, the place where the weird and wonderful parts of the natural world come together. I'm your host, Aaron, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Gareth. Gareth? Well, it's just me. I'm on my own. But I'm not, in fact, your Aaron. No, I'm actually Aaron from the future. Truth is, we ran into a few snags this week in the recording of this episode. But don't worry, I won't be on my own for long. You see, unfortunately, Gareth couldn't make it this week for various reasons. But luckily, Drew for those who don't know, he's the incredible talent behind our artwork with each episode. He was more than happy to jump on the sofa here and help guide us all through this episode. That wasn't the only problem we had, though. The reason why Drew is not joining me in the intro is because we've actually already recorded this intro too, but we ran into audio snags as well. It's been a real kind of mess of a week, unfortunately, and I'm afraid you're going to hear it in this episode. Now, depending on what makes the edit, we might explain more of the microphone issue later on, where we had a bit of a malfunction and we had to come back to Old Faithful here. But in the meantime, you're just going to have to bear with us for this week. The audio volume drops a little bit and the quality might drop just a touch here and there. But the intro was unreleasable. There was no way we could publish the original intro with Drew here on the sofa because it sounded like he was underwater. Now we both get affected by the microphone malfunction later on. Hopefully, it's still an enjoyable episode. But Drew. The worst was Drew's part in the intro, unfortunately. So, with time running out, and with Drew now not feeling 100%, I hope you feel better tomorrow, Drew. And with me not being able to re-record an intro until very late at night. In fact, right now, as I'm recording this for you guys, it's 1:45 in the morning. So on Friday night or Saturday morning, if you want to call it that. And obviously, the release has to go out on Sunday morning. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a scramble to get this all together. But next week we'll be back to normal, I promise you, and better than ever. So that's the first bit of housekeeping, kind of the in-house housekeeping out the way with. Doing it this way does actually give me the rare opportunity to actually do a little bit of housekeeping on the creature feature that we recorded. So this week, it's not really a spoiler because it comes up in the intro skit there. This week we're doing direwolves. Figured we'd jump on the bandwagon whilst it's still rolling. Now, there has been, since we recorded this, there's been a lot of information come to our attention that we didn't know at the time of recording this. So just a few minor tweaks and minor corrections here and there. Firstly, there's a part in the episode where I will reference a 2021 study about where direwolves fit into the dog family tree. Specifically, how they aren't that closely related to wolves. Now, they're still not super closely related to wolves. They're not a wolf as such. But it turns out that the announcement from Colossal Biosciences was actually planned to come out with a new research paper that was made possible. The study was made possible. As is our understanding at the moment, everything keeps changing. So I'm now going to cover myself by saying as it stands at the moment. This new research paper was supposed to come out at the same time as Colossal Biosciences were announcing their direwolves, and it basically rewrites the dog family tree a little bit in terms of where direwolves fit in it. Now, they're still not super closely related to wolves, but there's much stronger links there now. So we look forward to that. Reading that when that does come out. I think basically what happened is press hype and jumping the gun. Again, I don't fully understand it, and this is the understanding at present. The other bit that's kind of part of that is I also said in there, and I still stand by this sentiment. It's concerning that no peer review has come out for it. Now, as it turns out, there might actually be a peer review on the way. We shall see. But that's come from the mouths of people at Colossal Biosciences. So I'm happy to take their word for it. And as I say in the episode itself, our minds will continue to adapt and change as new information comes to light. So I'm really excited for the fact that there's a peer review coming, because I was a little bit like, oh, there's no peer review. So yeah, that's good news, but again, that's the understanding at the moment, and things may change. So yeah, there's that. But I think with that said, that's all the housekeeping I needed to bring everyone up to speed on. So it's just down to what I've gotten up to this week, really. And since I don't have Gareth here, and unfortunately Drew's part in this has had to be cut in for this, I'll just quickly tell you about my walk. I've been on a fair few wildlife walks with my family this week. The first one was to see this wonderful waterfall at St Nectan's Glen, which is in Cornwall. Beautiful waterfall. If you get a chance, go down there and have a look at that. Really cool. And it takes you on like a half-hour walk through like this really nice, lush kind of bit of forest along this river, and then you come up to the top and you kind of come down some steps and you get to the waterfall. Amazing waterfall. And the other thing that I've seen on my walks is a willow warbler, which I have seen in my garden, and used the Merlin bird app to identify it. So if you don't have that and you're into birding, download that. I was able to identify it by comparing the picture to what I've seen, and by the son identification. But this time in on my walk, I actually managed to get some footage, which is behind me. So you'll be able to see it in the tree and actually listening to it sing, which is really cool. So yeah, privileged week, I think. And with that said, other than that, it's just working on the van like I always am. And on this podcast, everything that goes into the behind the scenes. So I think with that said, I think we'll get into the news and we'll welcome Drew in. What do you reckon, Aaron? Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah. Double check. Okay, into the news. Let's do it.
It's the news!
And we're into this week's news segment. Drew, you can take us out with the first headline.
Okay. It's a while since I've done this, but first news article we've got in the reel is from BBC Online. This is extinct in the wild chicks hatch at London Zoo. So it's some good news. You're welcome. So this is about the successful hatching of 3 Socorro dove chicks that emerged from their eggs in late March. Their 2 pairs of parents arrived at London Zoo in late 2024, a part of an international breeding program. So very soon, very quick to breed. And for context, Socorro doves are from the island Socorro, from which they're named, and that's south of Mexico. And they are, as the article says, extinct in the wild. So great. Well done, London Zoo.
Great news. So my article is also from BBC News, and the headline is "Viewers wait for cathedral peregrine eggs to hatch." So a few weeks back, we reported on a cathedral's peregrine eggs being deliberately destroyed. I think they were stamped on by some nutter, to put it nicely.
It's a safe word.
That's the safe word. Yeah.
That's the safe word.
So this week we celebrate a cathedral installing a 24-hour live cam for viewers of its resident peregrine chicks, or peregrine family, I should say. A link can be found on the BBC article if you'd like to follow. I highly recommend that you do, because it's always interesting.
Nice. Also from BBC, they've been spearing it out this week. Osprey pair lay first egg of the season. So this is kind of an echo of the previous year. But yeah, so it's basically the same two ospreys. They bred again. So the only breeding pair of ospreys on England's south coast have laid their first egg of the season. They were the first nesting pair on the south coast in 180 years.
Wow.
So really, really significant, and that they're back again is great. The nest is monitored by webcam featuring female CJ7 and male, I don't know if it's 022 or 022, but it's near Wareham, which is in Dorset. And Birds of Pool Harbour are currently offering limited managed tours near the nest location if you want to go and see them. So that's very cool.
That is cool, yeah. So my next article comes to us from BBC News as well. We're very BBC heavy this week.
Yeah, we are.
And the article headline is Whale Watchers Warned to Keep Their Distance. So residents and visitors in the southwest are being warned by police to keep their distance from whales as the increase in sightings continues to, well, increase. We are being told to keep at least 100
Whale
meters away.
increase.
Whale,
whale
that was
increase.
missed
Sorry,
opportunity there.
That was really slow.
We're being told to keep 100 meters away, avoid mothers and infants entirely, and just be respectful and avoid unnecessarily disturbing them.
Yeah, simple advice, really, isn't it? Take it.
Take it, because the more we respect them, the more the environment's going to be a healthy one for them, and it'd be nice to see more humpbacks here.
Absolutely. And then taking a departure from BBC News, we've got an article from birdguides.com. So this is about funding boost for police tackling wildlife crime. So the UK government has announced more than 800,000, which is good. It doesn't sound like that much though, considering what else is going on. But you know, we'll take anything.
Take what we can get.
800,000 in additional funding to reinforce police units tackling wildlife crime. This is welcomed by countryside advocates and conservationists alike. The National Rural Crime Unit and the National Wildlife Crime Unit will receive a significant financial boost to expand their operations, increasing intelligence sharing and strengthen enforcement capabilities across England and beyond. So, yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it could be more, but it will. Yeah, as we'll say, we'll take it.
Take it, yeah. And I will also be stepping away from BBC finally now to the Eastern Daily Press, where stunning photos of cuckoo spotted at Hicklin Broad. So a lucky photographer has snapped some cracking images of the red-listed cuckoo on the Norfolk Broads. The bird was sighted at Hicklin Broad by Miss Warner, who is a volunteer photographer for the Broads Authority. Also, a friend of mine spotted one locally here and had some photos, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him before recording this.
No, they're really hard to find. You kind of have to just be at the right place at the right time, and because they are red listed now, common cuckoos, even though they're common is in the name. Yeah, I've seen them pop up on the fair because I follow quite a few bird sort of social media sites, and I keep seeing stuff popping up. So I know they're around, but you just got to be at the right place at the right time.
You got to be lucky, yeah.
You got to be really lucky. Yeah.
That about wraps it up for the headlines this week. Drew's got our main article, so take it away.
I do. So the main article that I'm covering this week is a little bit of hope and unity in a country that couldn't be further from either. So at the time we're recording this, Tuesday the 22nd of April, it is Earth Day. So today's Earth Day.
It is. Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day. And in the run-up to Earth Day, hundreds of marches, pickets and cleanup events are taking place across the United States, the country that I mentioned, that's very disunified at the moment, as environmental and climate groups step up to resistance to the Trump administration's authoritarianism and its war on the planet. As I'm sure everyone knows, the grossly overweight and orange subhuman Trump and his donor apartheid emerald mine nepo baby Elon Musk have dismantled federal offices that oversee clean air, drinking water, national parks and forests, smart farming and environmental justice. So loads of climate and environmental agency staff have been laid off all in the name of efficiency, because if you burn your home down, you don't have to pay for anything to protect it. So that's the stable genius of that administration. But anyway, I could go on a very depressing list of all the dismantlings of very necessary positions, offices and policies, but I want to focus on the good stuff here. So 3 months into the Trump presidency, the environmental and climate justice movement will begin rallying behind three major demands. So this is for Earth Day, and this is to defend workers and democracy, lower costs for communities and end handouts for corporations and billionaires, and make polluters pay. All sounds pretty good, doesn't it, really? I don't know why you would be against any of that, but, we're too woke to not understand being unwoke. So aside from protests and pickets, this year is the 55th Earth Day and will include climate education in schools and universities, beach cleans, and tree planting in the US and globally. And thanks to Trump, it's likely to be the biggest ever. Good job. So the very first Earth Day on the 22nd of April, 1970 saw 20 million Americans participating in nationwide events, protests, and teach-ins about pollution, the loss of wildlife, and pillaging of natural resources. And this was followed with a campaign that ousted 7 of the 12 so-called Dirty Dozen members of Congress with terrible environmental voting records, which is that's really successful.
Yeah.
So the success sent shockwaves, and a number of environmental protections followed. Don't let people tell you protesting doesn't work. Dennis Hayes, the organizer of the first Earth Day, said, this is quite a long quote, for about 6 years, the environmental movement was unstoppable. As we pushed to make the world a healthy place for humans and all diversity of life, there's always been a pendulum in American politics, but nothing like the assault on the environment and social security, education, health, and economy we see today.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 2026, we will need to organise aggressively for the election, but this Earth Day is about people with shared values coming together, looking for local solutions, some introspection on what we did wrong that allowed Trump to get elected, and find strategies on how to overcome him. And then I'll finish the article here with another quote, this one from Aru Shani the executive director of the Sunrise Movement, which is one of these environmental groups. And she said, just 3 months into the Trump presidency, the damage has already been catastrophic. This Earth Day, we stand united in defiance of their greed and fight for a future that prioritizes people and the planet over profits. So again, the background is very negative, obviously, on that one. But there are lots of people coming together to fight for something very, very good. I mean, I've obviously not been on here for a while, and immediately I've come into politics as I've jumped back in. But, I despair for you guys out in America right now who are on the level, what I would say the level playing field, on the level. So there are lots of people just like you fighting the good fight. Please take some solace in this, if nothing else. Do you have anything on?
No, not really. You pretty much covered all of it. The only thing I would say is that don't you find it shocking that it's only been 3 months into his administration?
I know that's the thing, isn't it?
If 3 months has felt like at the very least a year already.
Yeah.
The fact that all the horrendous things that he has accomplished, and worse, that he's proud of accomplishing and proud of doing, it's only been crammed into 3 months. Makes you think, like, we got 3 years and 9 months left of this.
I know. What I think particularly about American politics with this is because he was voted in November, so it probably feels longer too. Not only, obviously, I'm not taking away the significant amount of damage that he's done within 3 months, but it feels longer because he got voted in back in November.
Yeah, that's true.
Although he didn't come into power into January, or properly. Yeah.
The other worrying thing is, obviously, I hope for the best that America are going to kind of, as a nation, because I know a lot of people are against them anyway, but as a whole nation, are going to kind of realize the error in voting him in, and that the next election is going to be a more positive one for the American people.
If there is one, that's the
other thing. Yeah. Nothing more than to
be king,
executive order himself into kingship. But I think, isn't it the case that British politics tends to follow American politics, but like 4 years behind?
Yeah, well, we'll see, and hopefully he does enough damage that we actually learn from that. We can hope. But this is what Earth Day is about. It's about hoping, and hoping, I think, is it can be a very inspirational thing. Some people, cynics might say, that it's your last sort of desperate act of clinging on to something when everything else is gone. But I hope can bring people around out of some really dark spots. So hopefully this Earth Day, hopefully today, when this was recorded, has made quite significant changes and put some positivity back into for a lot of people.
I hope so. I hope so, because if this day is for anything, it's for celebrating and protecting our home.
Yes.
Well, that's it for our news segment. Shall we?
Let's just
Load into the.
Yeah, let's get as far away from the big orange man and get straight into your creature feature. I think.
Yeah, let's do it.
As fast as
it's
possible.
also going to be. I feel.
Oh no.
A slight air of controversy to it, I feel, but
That's fine.
Clearing up the controversy, I think, is the way to look at it. We'll head into that now.
Yeah.
It's the creature feature.
Right, well, we're into our creature feature. As I say, it's a bit of a dire situation.
I used that joke twice. I see. It's okay.
People are listening to this.
Just in case you didn't hear it the first time. Yeah. We'll try that joke again just in case you didn't hear it the first time.
So this week, with direwolf fever reaching new heights recently, and the media circus that has ensued, I have noticed a lot of misinformation about the direwolf species.
I'm shocked.
Amongst
Yeah.
And also a misunderstanding about what the direwolves are, including 3 6-month-old colossal biosciences pups. Even myself, when explaining it to my partner, I either got bits wrong or I didn't explain it very well because the nature of the way the news was coming out at the time. So the idea of this creature feature is to try and put out some content that interested parties will find useful or enjoyable, and to kind of help remedy some of the confusion out there, including some that I'm actually responsible for in a small way as well.
Okay. Okay.
That's growth.
Yeah, that is growth, yes.
So I'd like to kind of summarize direwolves, but also answer 3 questions. Firstly, what is a direwolf?
Okay.
Secondly,
am I answering these questions?
No,
just
you don't need to answer these questions. Secondly, what's the difference between a direwolf and a grey wolf?
Yep.
And thirdly, what are the young direwolves created by colossal biosciences?
Very good questions, yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be a familiar kind of structure, but also a different structure to this creature feature. So let's tackle the first 2 questions as one, shall we? Just what exactly is a direwolf? So right off the bat, what I'd really like to get across is this. If you are imagining George R.R. Martin's depiction of a direwolf striding alongside the young adult Stark boys through the treacherous 7 realms of Westeros, I want you to take that image, crumple it up in like the ball of your fist, place it in front of your wyvern dragon thing and scream Dracarys at it.
Wow. Those
things, awesome though they are not direwolves. I do think they are cool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, yeah.
I know it's the height of the whole spirit of the wolf kind of thing. I think it's really cool.
It is the absolute peak of power of the wolf. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they're just big wolves. They're big grey wolves.
And wolves as an animal, not as a spiritual thing, but as an actual animal, wolves are cool.
Yeah.
They're just ruined by other people.
They are. Oh, yeah. Many things we could say about that. Yes, they are. They really are. People on both sides of the spectrum as well, I should say. People who hate wolves and people who really love wolves.
Yeah, this is something that I've mentioned before in the podcast, that direwolves, so grey wolves, are both the probably one of the most studied and least well understood animals because of the people that hate them, the people that...
Yes.
There's so much anti-wolf and pro-wolf propaganda out there.
There really is.
So it's hard to actually, for someone who doesn't know anything about wolves, very hard for them to learn about grey wolves without some sort of bias bent to it.
Yeah. I'd say to anyone watching or listening to this, if you've currently got a pillow on your lap, this isn't for you. Should we move on?
Actually, technically, on the subject of wolves in general, this creature feature is actually a part 1 of 2.
Yeah.
Because you've got dire wolves with me this week,
And then next week is something with Gareth. I can't remember what. And also, he wouldn't want me to spoil it for you anyway. But I will spoil my next one because my next one is Grey Wolves.
It's a big animal. It's a big animal.
It's a big animal.
It's a big animal. What he's doing. Yeah, big.
Yeah.
It's big.
So back onto direwolves, discovered in 1854 near Evansville stretch of the Ohio River in Indiana. The fossil was recovered by avid collector Francis A. Link, who passed it on to geologist Joseph Granville Norwood.
Is he related to the Zelda?
I don't think so. I did wonder that, but my understanding of Zelda lore is really
he is a link from the past, or a link to the past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But it was Joseph.
I don't have to come back.
I like these tangents.
Okay.
I like these nerdy little tangents. It was Joseph Leedy who first proposed the jawbone and cheek teeth to have come from a large extinct wolf species, initially naming it Canis primavis. Now, Drew, do you know why this naming was problematic? And this is the only question that I'm going to ask you, I think.
Canis primavis. No, I don't know why it's problematic because are there canis? I'm trying to think of cool. Yeah, what because it's well there are, but it's not. I don't know why it's not problematic. I don't want to spoil too much as to what.
It was a name that was already in use for fellow good boy. The doll.
The doll.
The doll is now changed though. Now the doll is now named Cornell.
I really like dolls. They're really, really, really interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. It's one of the. If I was to think of a dog that's a good boy, I don't think doll is up there.
But
really interesting. But there's a lot of like disembowelment. What good boy?
So that will hold its ground against tigers.
Yeah.
Very cool dog.
Yes.
The species, that is the direwolf, would ultimately go through several name changes before John Campbell Merriam took a mass of dog species being discovered in the Americas, realized they were the same creatures, and consolidated all of their species into one, naming it eventually it was named Anoscion dirus.
Okay.
And in that name...
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're about to get to this, so feel free to edit this out if I do. If you do. Do you explain what the word dire means?
Yes. But we're about to get onto that because
then you can cut that out if you want.
No, it's fine. It's fine. The clue to what this animal is we're dealing with here is in that name. So Anos meaning terrible, Scion meaning dog.
Of course, yeah.
And dirus, to answer your question, means a lot of things. But the more relevant things that I thought out the almost thesaurus that belong just to the word dirus would be ominous, fear-inducing, or perhaps simply
so
dire.
It does literally just mean dire. Okay, it's not there isn't another meaning to it than this is a dire situation.
It doesn't seem to be any more meaning other than just dire. So the best way to look at their name translated, I think, is to call them the ominous terrible dog, not the ominous terrible wolf. In fairness, researchers in those days weren't armed with the techniques and technologies of today. They couldn't have realistically known that this was a dog that was substantially different, in an evolutionary sense at least, from a wolf specifically. But quite by accident, they were genuinely ahead of the curve. The dire wolf is a large canid of a size comparable to the larger grey wolves found today. But the differences in size are mere millimeters, and they swing both ways.
Good for them. Good for them.
Think about
that wording.
Think about the way I word that.
No,
it's matter though.
No, it doesn't.
With Anoscion dirus being just millimeters larger than your largest kind of, I suppose, northern Yukon type grey wolf species, and Anoscion dirus gildai, if I pronounce that correctly, just millimeters smaller than those Yukon ones. And even then, the difference in the proportions of the anatomy between grey wolves and dire wolves should be looked at on a body part by body part basis.
Okay.
You can't simply increase or decrease the size of your grey wolf image to get an accurate picture of a dire wolf.
And Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah. If you stood a dire wolf and a grey wolf next to each other with a similar torso size, the dire wolf that you're looking at would have smaller feet.
Yes. Yeah.
It would, and these would have terminated the much shorter legs that they had compared to grey wolves. The dire wolf also had a larger, broader head. The skull is actually comparatively massive compared to the grey wolf. So we're probably looking at a stockier built creature evolved to take down much larger prey, things like camels, bison, and ground sloth. Or rather, the same prey.
I'd like to see it try a ground sloth. I really would.
Yeah, well, the ground sloth, I am making an assumption here.
Yeah.
Based
is
on
it one of the smaller ones?
I think it's La Brea Tarpit ones.
Okay.
Ones that were stuck in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, possibly the smaller ones too. I suppose they'd also maybe be taking the same prey as grey wolf, but probably with smaller pack sizes.
Sure.
We can infer that they are not solitary animals just from the sheer amount of remains that are evident in the aforementioned La Brea tar pits. So herbivores getting trapped in these pits of natural asphalt would have been letting off distress cries. Now, according to studies that were done in Africa, when an animal was injured or trapped somewhere and it was letting off distress calls, more than 80% of the predators that turned up were social hunters.
Sure. Yeah.
And the reason they think this is the case is because there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So they can claim the prey and defend it.
Yeah. Whereas if you're a solitary predator, you'll hear that and you'll think there's going to be a lot of boys.
There's going to be a lot. Yeah. So a leopard, a lion would come for the pride. Hyenas would come. Painted wolves, so painted dogs. But yeah, leopard not so much.
No.
This African study is actually further supported by the presence of large numbers of juvenile dire wolves in the tar pits. So basically, what you're having, the situation happening at La Brea is the herbivore gets stuck in the tar, in the asphalt. Starts screaming. Sending out distress calls. Think of mastodon or mammoths getting stuck there, calling for their herd. These calls attract those pack hunters that have this, like I say, the strength of numbers.
And they're on a lovely day out. A lovely family day out to the tar pits.
It's in California, isn't it?
Yes.
So lovely day out.
A lovely day out. A lovely day out. We'll go to the tar pits. They're like, yes, okay.
So they bring their whole family.
Yeah.
They've got the offspring. They all get trapped. They all die.
Yeah.
So the lovely.
What a lovely
in tragedy.
Yeah.
For the whole family. As for colour comparison between grey wolves and dire wolves,
well, this is interesting because I've done artwork for you already. Okay.
You went down the route. I didn't actually. I was very rude. I didn't answer your message.
It's all right.
You did do what I had in my head.
Yeah. That's all right.
We actually don't know for sure what the colour was.
Good. I feel secured in what I've done.
From responsibility. Yeah. Colossal Biosciences are claiming that whatever genome material they had to work on revealed a pale coat.
Okay.
But other DNA analysis suggests that they were a dog of many colours, actually very much like grey wolves are, exhibiting pale and dark shades as well as browns and reds and such. But this isn't actually unique to grey wolves and dire wolves. If we look at other canines, red fox,
all over the place,
maned wolves, bush dogs, and painted dogs, and that's just to name just a few. They all show either variation in their patterns or at least two-toned coats. So it kind of stands to reason that an animal that is kind of convergently evolved with wolves would have a similar kind of color palette. So to summarize, the dire wolf that you're looking for is a short-limbed, stocky dog with a large, broad head and a powerful bite. They'd be heavier than your average grey wolf and coloured, for sake of argument, brownish on top and creamish underneath.
Okay, similar to what I did, I think.
So compare Drew's artwork to your mental image of a grey wolf, and let's just make it a European grey wolf because, well, they're better.
100% better. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, America. One last thing, just to hammer home the point that direwolves are not wolves. There was a study published in January 2021, which is probably a bit before our time reporting on it. I would have thought.
We started in February 2021, so we were a month out
behind.
If we'd started just a month earlier.
This study revealed that what similarities there are between the two species was in fact a result of convergent evolution.
Okay, yeah.
The study can be found in the journal Nature, just if you're interested, because it is a good read. So finally, what are the young direwolves created by Colossal Biosciences? So Remus, Romulus, and Khaleesi are, to give a brief, I know.
It really annoys me. I was watching.
That's good.
No, Remus and Romulus are fantastic names. They're great names.
Yeah.
Khaleesi is so strange because my partner and I were playing Wingspan, as you do, and when we play Wingspan, we have you guys on, and we got to this bit and talking about it, and it's I say the same thing every single time. Khaleesi is her title; it was never her name, and the torrent of people being named Khaleesi afterwards didn't make any sense. It's like calling your children kid or queen or king. It is. I don't get it. And then obviously she does the whole flip turn in the series, and now she's evil.
Funny, they heard that, and from season 2,
Yeah.
at latest from season 3, I was already saying she's going to break bad. She's queen.
It's really, if you're a book nerd, it's really quite obvious in the book. It's quite more transparent in there.
I will say in the series, I don't think it's hidden, but it is.
No, it does.
Failed. Yeah. In fact, everything she does from a position of wanting to be good. She wants to free the slaves. She wants, but her answer to things, it's not just violence; it's eradication,
like real mass violence. Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I'm 100% against slavery and that, but it's just like.
That's a strong position. That's a strong position to take. Well done, you. Can we have a round of applause for Aaron?
It was hints that there was a bit of a bit of dark violence behind it.
She didn't have anything to replace the slavery. That's the problem, though, isn't it? And obviously, I'm not an advocate for slavery. I just want to throw that one out. Something does need to replace. There needs to be a system. In order to, not as in you don't need to replace the slaves, as in there needs to be a system that allows that recovery of your society.
Yes. I
But again, the book does delve into quite a lot, but the series did a little bit. But we're probably going on a tangent. We've gone from direwolves to slavery.
Khaleesi is a bad name for a wolf.
It's awful.
For a dire, not for anything. Apart from the Khaleesi, Carl is a horse lord, right?
Yeah.
A horse lord.
Yeah.
So she would be the horse lady.
I guess so.
So yeah. So it's not, and also she's the mother of dragons. She's not even anything to do with direwolves. It would have been more relevant to use Sansa's name, Arya.
Yeah.
Arya, because she's much cooler than Sansa. Anyway, Remus, Romulus, after that extraordinary tangent.
Yep.
Remus, Romulus, and Khaleesi are, to give a brief answer, not direwolves. At least not really. And that's kind of the stance that me and Gareth took when we reported on the news.
Yeah.
So
I would agree, by the way. There's something else for sure, but then I don't kind of agree with calling it a direwolf because it's not. It's a wolf adjacent sort of thing, but it's like it's not what a direwolf was.
I say that they're even direwolf proxies yet. I would say they're a stepping stone to a direwolf. But then we get into the argument of, does the world need a direwolf proxy? Because direwolves did not go extinct because of
humans. No.
They went extinct because they became obsolete.
Yeah.
They were so specialized in what they did. They got outcompeted. They got outcompeted by grey wolves, and they're similar.
Yeah.
And they got outcompeted by big cats.
Yeah.
So essentially they became obsolete and they went extinct. They were too specialized.
Yeah.
So
old and obsolete.
Yeah. The world, good Terminator reference.
Thank you.
The world doesn't have a place for direwolves in terms of ecosystem and environment, and in terms of their place.
Yeah.
They they just they went extinct naturally,
Yes.
as naturally as you can. So let's explain what colossal biosensors have done. Basically, using 30, kind of retreading the news, but in a little bit more detail to kind of clear it up. Using a 13,000-year-old direwolf tooth and a 72,000-year-old direwolf ear bone, researchers were able to map a significant portion of the direwolf genome. This is thrilling and ridiculously interesting. And potentially very useful for the future. Not for direwolves.
No, but other things, yeah.
And species that aren't extinct too, by the way.
Mm.
As they did so, they identified 20 genetic markers. Get that very clear. Just 20 genetic markers across 14 genes that differentiated these direwolf individuals from present-day grey wolves.
Oh.
They then isolated cells which aid in the regeneration of blood vessel linings from grey wolf blood samples. They modified the 14 identified genes. So basically, they found the counterpart genes in the grey wolf DNA,
right?
And they modified these 14 identified genes to express the 20 explicitly direwolf phenotypic characteristics, or characteristics that are physically observable.
Okay.
They then reinserted these genetically modified grey wolf cells into healthy denucleated grey wolf ova, so eggs without the nucleus.
Yeah.
These were then allowed to develop into embryos, and they were implanted into surrogate domestic dog mothers. The resultant pups, now 6-7 months old at time of recording, have now begun to display some of those identified direwolf characteristics.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
What was the breed of dog?
I can't remember. I didn't actively. I'll admit I didn't actively look into that. I know that they were. I believe, if I remember right, they were mixes, but I don't remember what breeds were in those mixes. But they were selected. These mixes were selected for being large enough to
carry.
Out. Yeah.
Carry. Yeah. Because I'd be incredibly impressed because I've seen those videos of those wolves. I'd be incredibly impressed if that came out of a Chihuahua, and and they'll be like, that's real gene splicing. That came out of a Chihuahua. That's incredible. Well done, you. That's real significant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If they came out of an else, like a white German Shepherd or like a husky or something like that, it's still impressive though. For them to come out looking that much wolf.
I'm thinking, yeah, I can't remember. I remember seeing. At least I think I remember seeing the mix, but I don't remember what they were, and I didn't actively look for it either. Because aside from the fact that they were large enough to carry these embryos as they developed, it didn't really seem super important to me at the time. But maybe it was important. Maybe I should.
It's more. I'm not just interested in terms of the physicality of what they look like, what these actual animals look like, and I'm curious as to what the maternal parent actually look like. What's the mother that they came out of? I'm curious as to the difference between those.
I think there were 3 mothers, obviously.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that I believe only one of them played a significant role after
in the rearing.
Yeah. I can't remember which one that was, because again, I didn't think it was important enough to note it down in the context of this creature feature. But again, maybe in hindsight, it was something we could. This story is going to come back in the news.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, we're going to watch it with interest anyway, so it might be something to come back to.
Until you're sick of it,
yeah.
If you do get sick of, incredible genetic progress.
I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. The scientific, the science here is groundbreaking. It is what it is. But yeah.
Did they stop to think? As to, you know what I'm going to say.
I know exactly.
As to whether they should, rather than.
Yeah, well, I think they did when doing the actual when actually doing the science part of it. I just don't think they did when it came to the market.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So these pups are now starting to display these identified direwolf characteristics. For example, they are notably larger than a grey wolf counterpart would be of that age. They're also more powerfully built, alluding to that stocky image we discussed previously. And they have that broader head I mentioned with more muscular legs. The pale coat, on the other hand, is a bit of an interesting feature.
Yeah.
Because I was a bit confused by that at first.
That's half of why I was asking about the breed of dog that they came from.
I see.
Because
Right.
I mean that I don't know if that would. Excuse me. I don't know if that would play a part in it as well. If it was a white German Shepherd or something.
No, no. As you'll see, the coat was actually selected for.
Okay. So they wanted them to be white.
Yes, and there's an important reason for that.
That's a troubling statement.
Yeah, it's not specifically because, as I joked last time we spoke about this, that George R.R. Martin is one of their investors.
Yeah.
Not, as far as I'm aware, it's not actually to do with that.
Okay.
So firstly, as discussed, direwolves probably reflect the wide range of colours that modern grey wolves do, not because they're related, but because convergent evolution, it makes sense.
Yeah.
To that end, white, also DNA analysis, but to that end, white is not out of the equation. So as a species preferring savannas, it was probably restricted to colder climes, that coat colouring.
Okay. Yes.
Secondly, and this is the more interesting point I find. According to Colossal Biosciences, the original gene they found for direwolf coat colour would cause blindness and deafness in grey wolves.
Oh wow.
So the white trait was selected for using dog genetics.
Okay. Yeah.
So so they wanted to emulate a direwolf somewhat closely, well, as closely as they could.
Yeah.
But they couldn't, for whatever reason, that coat, switching on those genes or switching off and on different genes to select for that would render the pups blind deaf.
And did they know that from the genetic makeup? So they didn't actually make we've made a blind and deaf
I don't think they. I don't
puppy.
think there was like a practice one.
Put that in the bin.
Yeah, I
and
don't
then
think it was that. But
start again.
interestingly, I think most, if not all, horses that are born albino are born blind.
Yeah, they or at least partially so. Yeah. Yes.
I think that there's something to that coat coloration that the mutation, the side effects of that mutation are pretty catastrophic. And you could say the same with although it's a little bit different with white tigers, because it's not so much when a white tiger is born in the wild and then it's instantly killed by a leopard, or if it grows up to adulthood it can't hunt because everything can see it. But yeah, cross-eyed ones we find in zoos is due to line breeding in history. Not white tigers are a very dark part of
yeah, for sure.
the past,
Absolutely.
but at least in the past. So yeah, that's really interesting. Now, I don't know more than that at this stage. Of the 20 phenotypic characteristics of direwolves that were selected for, 5 of them that were identified were to do with paler coat.
Okay.
Now, again, that raises the question of white coat or pale coat, and also of individuals. Like I'm not sure where these fossils were found. I can't remember. But yeah, is that a locality thing, or is it an individual thing? Or so yeah, there's lots of interesting questions raised by the whole color element of this.
Yeah.
Ultimately, colossal biosciences genetic research remains to this day, unfortunately, unreviewed. So there's no peer review, which for me is a real concern, and it should be for others really too. And I hope it's a concern that can be remedied in the near future, because, as I said, it's fantastic breakthroughs, and it is really cool. If perhaps poorly marketed. But the ground that we have to land on here is sort of similar to our stance the last time we spoke about it, when me and Gareth covered it in the news. So our stance is kind of the same. They are not direwolves, but that depends on your outlook of species, because at this time in the world there are quaggers. The quagger is extinct. The only reason there are quaggers is because they basically bred loads of zebras together to make a zebra that phenotypically resembles a quagger. So if you call that a quagger, then we can call this a direwolf. Similarly, the Taurus project and other projects that have been trying to bring back the auroch is extinct. It's not coming. The true auroch is not coming back.
Yeah.
But these cows phenotypically resemble aurochs. So is that an auroch? If that is an auroch to you and that is a quagga to you, then this is a direwolf. So I'm happy to kind of, like when we last spoke about, I'm happy to kind of draw a line where I say that these are not true direwolves, but they are. We could call them. We could call them direwolves. You could call them direwolves if you want, and my only argument will be how you explain that to people.
Sure.
The way Colossal Biosciences marketed it, I'm not keen on at all, because it kind of laid it out like these are genuinely true direwolves. It's really cool that direwolves, or something that's phenotypically resembling a direwolf counterpart, really cool that what they've done to bring these back. Very cool that we get to hear the howl, because that's one thing I didn't mention. The howl of these wolves is different to grey wolves.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
So that's interesting as well. It's really cool that we get to hear them.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to be careful how you market.
Yeah, because saying in the marketing, because they've said, oh, it's a howl that hasn't been heard in, however many thousands of years.
12,000.
Yeah, and that's where you kind of think, well, yeah, but we don't know that, though, do we? We don't know that's the same howl. We don't know that at all. I think with you could call me a traditionalist, maybe, which is quite rare for me, I think. I'd hope. I think the differences between the quagga and the oryx that you mentioned is at least that they are the same. They're within the same genus of what they're being taken from.
Yes.
These direwolves are not.
No.
So they wouldn't. So it's really strange though, because again, taxonomy is trying to make sense of chaos.
Yes, and
this does muddy it.
Like every time you try and box or categorize nature, there's going to be exceptions, or they'll just prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Now, you can look at. There's two ways to discuss the direwolf-grey wolf relationship. You've got the genetics, and you've got the physiological, and depending on which way you go, the direwolf either comes after the grey wolf, or as a sister species of the grey wolf with a common ancestor. So yeah, so even that is undecided where they stand. What is clear is that they are not wolves per se. They're not part of grey wolf's lineage. They have genuinely split from it.
You could say they are the greyest of wolves.
They're even greyer than
They are even greyer than grey wolves.
But yeah, I think to underline this, my position is very much similar to how it was when we first reported on it. They're not direwolves, but they kind of they're kind of not direwolves, but they are a stepping stone to a proxy.
Yeah.
I suppose is the best way to put it. And I continue to think that the science behind it is fascinating and potentially game changing for conservation. It's already been used in red wolf conservation, though at least for my part, I am substantially less excited by it and very much concerned now I've had time to kind of delve deeper into it. And to put a positive spin on that, my stance could change once again when the research has been appropriately reviewed and that peer review is made more publicly known.
Yeah.
Because if it gets peer reviewed that changes things. That,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
openness, that's
Absolutely. Yeah,
and that's checks and balances then.
yeah. Well, there's no, as we've said many times before.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can't gatekeep this sort of stuff. You can't gatekeep progress like this. If we could actually bring back northern white rhinos and stuff using this kind of technology, if we could increase our mountain gorilla population, if we could, the list goes on. You can't, you can't have ego around that.
This is, and they seem like they're very open to sharing their findings.
You guys are talking,
So-
spoken to
We spoke to Professor Andrew Pask of the Tassie Devil, not Tassie Devil, the Tassie Tiger, the Fiver Scene branch. So we know that or at least as far as we can know, we know that they're decent folk and they're very passionate and hardworking. And all of this does not take away from the extraordinary science behind it.
No.
The only thing it does is say that they are not true direwolves. The marketing could have been a little bit more honest.
Yes.
And that a peer review would be very much appreciated. But that you could call them direwolf proxies, or at least stepping stones to direwolf proxies, and that in itself is a breakthrough and is pretty awesome.
You could say the marketing has worked though, couldn't you? Because
it's got people talking about it.
we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes.
But then
a grey wolf, genetically modified grey wolf howls like direwolf is assumed to howl. It's not quite so catchy.
It's not quite as catchy, no.
No, I hadn't thought about that actually before I decided to slate the marketing there, but
no.
But I do feel that there's a happy medium.
There is definitely
between making it sound attractive and exciting,
but also
not.
Yeah.
Like maybe genetically modified grey wolves a step closer to direwolves roaming the earth again.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, these direwolves will never see the wild. They're never going to be bred from.
No.
They are there.
They've said that, haven't they?
Yes, they have. They have made that saying. This is not like the mammoths, the thylacines, and the dodos. This is intended as what you are seeing now.
Yeah.
This is. I am wondering actually if this is just a stepping stone for these bigger projects.
Yes.
Proof of concept.
Yeah.
To an extent. But these are essentially, you can call them direwolves, but it would be more accurate to call them genetically modified grey wolves. Genetically modified grey wolf proxy direwolves. But again, that doesn't sound as exciting as it actually is.
I still like grey wolf.
Grey wolf, yeah.
Grey wolf.
But with that down, that's the end of our creature feature, which is probably a good thing because the more you try and explain the colossal biosciences thing, especially as like neither of us are geneticists. I'm a bit of a genetics nerd.
We're a pair of tits.
I like this kind of thing. But as Drew said, we are.
I was speaking to myself, really.
Well, I'm sat here with a Lakers cap on back to front. I can't 14. So
yeah, that's fair.
So we'll should we go on into the emails, I think.
Yes.
Leave this dire situation behind us.
A third time. Third punch.
Bing! You've got mail. Ooh, it's an email.
And we're into this week's mailbag. You may notice a little bit of a change. Well, as it happens, our fearless AWOL leader, Gareth, forgot to charge the microphones. And so we've gone back.
We've gone back to Old Faithful.
And we're using our trusty, never needed a charged microphone. So sorry if the audio changed. We did listen back to it. So we know that you can still hear us, but the audio would have changed. So apologies. Send your hate mail to Gareth.
Yeah, 100%. He is editing this bit as well.
Yes,
we'll see. We'll see what he leaves in.
We're deliberately putting this in because he has to edit it. So, and yeah, we're hoping that he's going to keep this part in because we think it's well worth you all knowing that he is to blame.
Yeah, transparency. We're actually talking about transparency.
Yeah, if we demand, Gareth, when you listen to this, if we demand transparency from organisations like Colossal Biosciences, then we should be demanding it of ourselves.
Yeah.
So you keep this bit in.
Yeah.
So we are, of course,
The professor has definitely left the building, hasn't he?
the animals are loose. We are, of course, into that. One of my favourite parts of the weekly recording is actually.
It's where we pretend to like you guys.
Yeah. We get to pretend that we're nice people. So last week's question, we just dive straight on into it. Last week's question was, of course, now that the art competition is over and Dinah Curris has won.
Yes.
Not happy. Oh, actually, I voted for it in the last round, but that was because it wasn't really a choice.
It was against the still towel.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what you guys are doing. Obviously, it is all of this artwork was all done by me, so I'm quite happy to dump on stuff. I don't think the still towel is like I'm not that much of a sadist that I think it's awful. But I don't what are we doing? What are you thinking? How did it get that far?
I actually it was.
How did it get that far?
So the
Public opinion is always a mystery to me.
Yeah. It's the same. So now that Dinah Curris has won, the competition is over.
Yep.
Who would you have picked from all the possible contenders if you had the choice to go back in time? So I'll start off reading the Facebook comments, and we have a comment from you, Drew.
Oh wow!
And
you're welcome.
Drew says,
"Yes." What do I say?
Based on the time and effort that went into it, there was only ever one correct answer for best artwork, and it wasn't Dinah Curris. Not that I'm bitter at all.
Yes, those are my exact feelings on the subject.
And who would have been the one that you would have gone with?
I think that's quite obvious, isn't it? Really,
you've shirt on purpose.
Literally the t-shirt that I've worn.
I think it should have been Chameleon or the Neon Tetra.
Yeah.
Well, I really like the Neon.
They both went up against each other, didn't they? And then, and I remember they both went against each other, and the Neon won out of the two of them. Although to be honest, Gareth is editing this again, so I'm gonna dump on him too. I think he miscounted. And I'm not. This isn't a Donald Trump miscount. I think he did actually miscount.
You think Russian bots were involved?
Yeah, but it was close between the two of them. Neon Tetra won, and then immediately the next round, Neon Tetra was out. It was gone. It was gone immediately. Because again, you guys, as has been stated on here multiple times, dumped on all the colourful things, got rid of them immediately, and left it with the bland 8.
No, I did because I think Jaguar was part of this.
The Jaguar went a long time ago, I think. Yeah, Jaguar was one.
So okay, so you went with Panther Chameleon then?
Yeah. So literally, as that comment says, based on the time and effort it took me to do the Panther Chameleon. So most of the artwork, it takes me about. I won't run on this too long, but most of them take me about hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on their complexity. This one took me about 3 days. So yes, I'm bitter. This one took me so long. It was one that I really, really wanted to get right. Chameleons are like, I know I dropped out the podcast early. I had them on my list. I had chameleons on my list, and it is, I will go to my grave feeling ashamed that I didn't get to them before I did jump out.
What species did you want to do?
Panther.
Oh right, so I did actually steal. I did jump in your.
No, not at all. Because I did say to you guys, hey, look, you can take anything if you want off of my list.
So since I took Panther Chameleon, if you came back with the intent of doing a chameleon, what would be your choice to do now?
A different chameleon. Oh, sorry, that's not what you meant, is it?
Yeah. What chameleon would you cover?
A different chameleon. I don't know because I'd have to. There's so many different species of chameleon. Most of them I don't know anything about. So I'd want to do one that was different enough from Panther Chameleon because I guess like the next colourful one is sort of either a Yemen's or a Jackson's or veiled same as
Jackson's are the Triceratops ones, aren't they? Yeah, I like those ones.
Yeah, they're very cool. I mean, maybe a Jackson's, but I might want to do something more even more different than those two are to Panther, because I've got a feet. No, Yemens are not obviously from Madagascar. I think Jacksons are, or they're from another part of Africa. But yeah, it's to my great shame I didn't get around to Chameleon.
I will
So I
say,
really, really went in for this artwork. So I was like, Aaron's covering a Chameleon. I'm really excited. I'm gonna do it. And oh wow, when there's going to be an artwork competition later in the year, oh, the Chameleon it's gonna smash it.
you put money on it, didn't you?
I put
a Betfair.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, I lost everything. I lost everything.
In hindsight, I have to admit, in hindsight, because at the time you seem to be wanting to step in for like maybe an episode per year, but this year, without spoiling anything,
We've already said.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. This year we've discussed that you're going to come on a bit more, and I have in hindsight, since those first discussions took place, I did in hindsight think, I wish I'd kept Chameleon for this year, so that it would be what, because you've also said not just about coming in for your own creature features, but you've said that there's one or two of our creature features that you'd be interested in sitting in on.
Yes.
And
not because I've got anything interesting to say, because I never have, but
about that.
but because those animals might have a significance to me that I think I probably should sit on all that. I probably shouldn't let that one bypass without.
In hindsight, I would have kept Chameleon to this year, so you could have sat in on that one. But at the time, we didn't know where.
My beef isn't with you for covering the Chameleon. My beef is with all of you for dumping on it so much and all my hard work.
So you've got the next comment.
The next comment is from Jan, and Jan says, "Have always been fascinated by chameleons." Wow. So I think Panther Chameleon for me. Yeah. Well, thanks, Jan. I agree with you.
I was about to say, well, where was your vote for Panther Chameleon then, Jan? But then I can't remember what you voted for that one, so I can't. Maybe you did vote for Panther Chameleon and were bullied out of the competition by Neon Tetras. So I will not blame you for that at all.
No.
The last comment comes to us from Jen Babs, who says Narwhal.
Narwhal,
which I'm assuming Gareth has replied to you, Jen, saying that I would be happy with that. I would be happy in the last kind of quadrant of those things. But like I say, there were others that I would have gone for before even that. Do have an answer from YouTube, and this one comes to us from Rose Lee 9961, and they say, "Huzzah! The horrible hand has won. How wonderful!" Oh yes, you were keen for the Dinocaris all the way through.
Is this your nemesis?
No, she's cool.
Oh, okay.
But definitely was very, very much supportive of Dinocaris, which I couldn't agree with.
Okay.
No offense, it's good. I like it.
No, I don't take any offense.
Actually,
apart from this,
Rosalie is the one who has, at least on 2 occasions, mentioned how much that they like the Canadian Goose inspiration or gentle referencing.
Do you know what? When I did Dinocaris, it was a while ago now, and I don't remember actually thinking, "Oh, this looks like a Canadian Goose." I don't actually remember taking that, even though it does look quite a lot like one. I think I went with I looked at other paleo art, and I saw a color scheme, and I went, "I quite like that. That's quite similar, so I'll take elements of that." And it ended up looking completely like a Canadian Goose. So this is almost news to me, even though now I can see it. I can completely see it to the point where, to the point where I don't want to create something like for like. To the point where I'm almost tempted to change it. I'm not going to, but there is a slight point of me. It's like, oh, no,
don't upset her because I think she's a Patreon.
I really appreciate your comments. I appreciate your appreciation thereof. I won't change Dinocaris.
I've run the risk of the number of times I've been disappointed by her answers to the competition. Not to anything else. We actually get very colourful interactions from Rosalie. It's always a pleasure to read the comments. Anyway, the email that Rosalie is sent in says, "Huzzah! The horrible hand." Sorry,
it's not an email.
It's not an email. No, it's a YouTube comment. Sorry, YouTube comment.
That's a Gareth.
Full transparency.
Yeah.
very important. It's a YouTube comment. Rosalie says, "Huzzah! The horrible hand has won. How wonderful!" For this week's question, of if we could have cherry picked a winner of the competition, for me, it would have been the jaguar. Jaguars are my favorite extant member of the Panthera genus. The patterning is beautiful, plus the bonus melanistic one. And the jaguar episode was, if I remember correctly, the first ever episode I ever consumed of the podcast.
Oh, that's cool. So it has some significance to you as well. Yeah.
So it was a special. So it has a special place in my heart for multiple reasons. When you guys proposed Big Pumba's speculative evolution question to Lindsay, and he responded with your guys' picks of rats and gulls, doing well, yeah. My jaw had fell to the floor and was immediately followed with laughter. Great minds think alike, after all. That was quite surprising. I think me and Gareth might have even shared a giggle on the episode, like when he came out with gulls and rats. After that was literally the answers we gave.
Yeah.
Do you see, like, I know I think you stand in the same boat as me and Gareth in being quite anti AI art.
Oh, as a amateur artist, absolutely. What AI art can be good for? It can be good for referencing. So you can make like an AI art and then take that AI art and then create something new with it. It can be good for referencing because it's quite good at shading.
Right. Yeah.
But aside from that, no, it's taking away real people's jobs. So absolutely.
Me and Gareth don't like AI art, but for the sake of this speculative evolution battle, we I did put it into, well, actually I didn't, because I don't like AI and I won't touch it. I asked actually asked my partner to
this kind of thing though is actually, I think, what AI art is potentially okay for, or what I think is it's fun for, because it's just a fun, silly thing. It's not being used, it's not taking away someone's job. It's not, it's just in your cases you're doing as a speculative.
It's the random joke, really, is what we're doing.
I just want to see something really, really stupid. And like, cause, my partner and I have done that sort of stuff with AI before. There's an in-joke between the two of us that the cats love me more than her. So we both put into AI art once. I don't know if I can dig out the photo and send it to you. We put into AI art once that, it's two people. It's a heterosexual couple, and there's a cat there, and the lady is crying because the cat loves the man more than yeah. And the art that it came up with was incredible. Everything was crying. The cat was crying. It was it was great. So that sort of stupid stuff, I think that's what AI is actually. That's the use for it, I think.
Well, we had the Terror Gull and the Smilo rat.
Yes, I saw
attacking each other. It was funny to the first attempt of it didn't go well, but the second attempt was of getting these animals was funny. But yeah, no, I'm really impressed that Jaguar was my question would be, obviously, since you like Jaguars, were you looking for Jaguar content and that's how you found us?
That's I take that assumption.
I'd be interested to know the answer to that. But yeah, I'm actually really chuffed with that, because that was my episode.
Yeah,
I covered Jaguars, and I believe all going to plan, I complete the Panthera genus this year.
Yes.
So yeah,
the artwork is very nearly done.
Oh yeah,
it's very nearly done for
Wicked.
the last one.
Yeah.
I believe you're going to do another cat as well, aren't you? You're catting it out.
I think we've got 2 cats this year. Yeah,
3. Well, you've already done
Homotherium.
You've already done
Homotherium. Yeah.
So many cats.
Yeah,
cats are great.
Cats cool.
Cats are cool.
Cats are cool.
Cats.
So this week's question, just in case you needed any other reason to hate direwolves, okay, or have your brain just corroded by trying to work out what is and isn't a direwolf, we are asking you guys, our loyal cupboard dwellers, what are your thoughts on the direwolf? So that can be regarding the species, regarding my creature feature, regarding Colossal Biosciences genetically modified grey wolves.
Yeah, whether or not they,
how you stand on it. Are you one of these people that calls what is currently considered a quagga a quagga?
Hmm.
Do you call the Taurus project a project that is creating aurochs? Do you call these wolves at Colossal Biosciences direwolves? We want to hear any and all opinions about direwolves this week. So with that out the way, well, actually, I kind of summed up what I felt, that I mean that you can call them direwolves, but they're not. You can't call them true direwolves. And that I really want a peer review.
Yeah.
What if you were to summarize in maybe 2 sentences? What do you think of the colossal biosciences direwolf specifically?
Well, this is going to be very easy for Gareth to edit. Same. I mean, it's a very boring opinion
No,
in the sense
it's
that
fine.
the same as yours, but yeah, like same. I don't kind of agree with calling them a direwolf because they're not
They're
really.
not. No.
They're not. You can call them something else, but yeah, it needs to be peer reviewed, and I think I've expressed my opinions on it anyway, in the sense that this sort of stuff needs to be shared, which is if probably the best reason to peer review it. With conservation has no ego; it needs to be shared. We need to, if we're going to be using this technology to either recover an extinct species or some struggling extant species, then yeah, peer review this immediately, and then we can move on.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect way to summarize. And in maybe a sentence, I reckon it's all it needs. George R. R. Martin's Westerosi direwolves. What do you think?
It's a big wolf in it.
This is a big wolf. Yeah, there we go.
It's a big wolf.
What about the species itself, the actual direwolf? I don't really have an opinion either way. I think they're just another cool animal. They went extinct because they became obsolete, and there's no need to be bringing them back.
I've never been that strong on the actual species direwolf. That's not to poo-poo your creature feature.
Don't know.
I've yeah, it is. It's ultimately it's a dog.
It's another dog.
It's a dog. It's another dog. It does similar things to what other dogs do. That's about it, really. Which is not it's honestly not an excuse to poo-poo anything, really, because there's a lot of species out there that are completely viable within their own habitats, but they do very similar things to other things, and
yeah. So that's the opinions on direwolves. Shout yours into us. You can do that via any of the normal socials. So that's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram,
TikTok. I think
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yes.
Grandad Gareth is on TikTok, isn't it?
I really need to help him out on that. Sorry, Gareth.
Sorry, Gareth.
So yeah, but you can also send in your interactions via our emails, and we do have an email this week. It comes to us from one of our loyal Patreon supporters and long-term listener or viewer nowadays, I suppose, Jen Greenhall, who says, "Hello, you lovely lot."
Oh, Jen.
We went away last weekend to the Yorkshire Dales. We stayed in Lytton, which is a bit off the beaten path and was really quiet, apart from all the lambs.
Oh, my enemy.
I knew you were going to say so. Anyway,
you turned straight to me as if you wanted me.
On the Saturday, we hiked up the dale behind the pub and saw a lizard.
Oh, it's better than a lamb.
Yeah, it's much better than a lamb. It's so long since I've seen one in the wild. Pick attached, which you'll see now, guys. It looked super healthy and moved very quickly. On the Sunday, armed with my Merlin app, we saw / heard curlew oyster catchers, not oysters. Sorry,
they do make a lot of noise, oysters, though, so it is sometimes difficult to hear anything else.
Lapwings plus lapwing chick. That's
Lovely.
cool.
Yeah.
Red shanks and sorry, Gareth, a dipper.
Right, Gareth has had plenty of ample opportunity to see a dipper. Well, there's loads of them about. There's loads of places you can go around in here.
He just hasn't.
He just hasn't. He hasn't bothered. He's still editing this, so he's gonna have a great time.
We've deliberately taken aim at Gareth during the segment that he has to.
Just go to Plymouth, Gareth. Just go to the Lynn. They're everywhere. Not right now. They're not right now because they're nesting. So you might not see them. But yeah, I've not been to the River Lynn and not seen a dipper.
So Jen says she's not seen a dipper in years. Well, Gareth's not seen one either. So
Ever.
there used to be some on the river in the valley near us, but I've not spotted them for ages. So keep up the good work from Jen. Thank you very much, Jen, and thank you for that awesome photo. That's really, really cool.
Really cool.
So yeah, that's the end of our emails. Having an email from one of our patrons is a great segue to talk about our Patreon supporters. So over to you, pre-recorded Gareth and Aaron.
Every week, we like to give a little love back by shouting out the names of our wonderful Patreon supporters.
That's right. These are the cupboard dwellers who are kind enough to support us through a monetary contribution, for which we are eternally grateful and grateful beyond words.
And those people are, of course, Fogtober, Jen Greenhall, Connie P, Chelsea McKee, Nick to Nick,
Owen Cox,
and Matt Geddy.
Guys, your financial contributions are actively helping us out here in the Natural History Cupboard in a myriad of ways, including developing our new studio, planning excursions and being able to go out and film on location, considering technical upgrades, and actually making the jump from a solely audio-based podcast to the now growing YouTube channel. And we really can't thank you enough for that.
Now, we appreciate all of our cupboard dwellers and the support you offer us through listening, liking, sharing, and subscribing. But if you feel we've earned it and you're considering joining our Patreon, there are two options through which you can do so.
That's the Nature Nerds and the Animal Ambassador tiers, which you can find on the Patreon website or links through our social media as well, and each one having different benefits for you to enjoy.
And now back to Gareth and Aaron in the studio.
Thank you, pre-recorded Gareth and Aaron, for that excellent run-through of our
really
Patreon supporters and the many ways in which they've helped. Of course, it doesn't help when we don't charge the equipment that their Patreon money is paid for. I'm kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time because you're not here, so you're an easy target.
You are an easy target when you're not here. Exactly.
But with that down, that is
he does beat us when
he does. Yeah,
when he is when
here,
the
camera's off, we do get
we get
beaten.
beats constantly. So
there's a stick. There's a stick. He's taking it home with him, which is lucky. Yeah.
Aaron's had his head through the allosaur and his arms through the nostrils and the.
One day he took
the
my arm and he raked it on the teeth. And I think that was I think that was because of a Witter joke.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah,
it would be.
We've made our fearless leader to be something
a psychopath,
violent psychopath.
Yeah.
And with that done, that's the end of this week's episode of the Natural History Cupboard podcast. All that is left for me to do is to thank you, Drew, for stepping in when Gareth went on holiday.
He's not
on holiday. He's not on holiday.
No, that's no problem at all. It's been a joy.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you back in the cupboard.
Appreciate it.
This is only your second time recording in the cupboard as it is manifested now.
Yeah.
A big thank you to Gareth, because he has actually helped behind the scenes with this. He will be doing some of the editing on this, which is why we took such hard swings at him during that, because thought we'd give him a laugh.
Well, he could cassette boy both of us into saying whatever he likes.
That's how AI is going to be used now. Words in our mouths.
Yeah.
We love Dire Wolves. Gareth is great at Pre-Day Wicker.
So many winners.
So thank you to you, Drew. A thank you to Gareth, and a thank you to you guys, our loyal cupboard dwelling listeners or viewers, however you consume this podcast that is so much fun to bring to you. And we'll see you next time here in the Natural History Cupboard. Goodbye.
Bye. I just realised there's audio as well, isn't it? It's not just visual.
So, Drew, you are going to be the victim of this week's poor joke. I was gonna cuss then. What do you call a wild dog that meditates?
I don't know, Aaron. What do you call a wild dog that meditates?
A werewolf. A werewolf.
Are you okay, mate? Is everything all right?